and then I'll actually hit the record for the podcast. And we are now officially live. And 3, 2. Welcome to another episode of $1 Million Stories. This is where I get to interview many of my clients who we worked with and talk about their book. This guest that we have is a special one. I've been friends with her for many years. We met, I believe, via Instagram or Facebook, probably in 2017, 2016, maybe. And since then, we've become great friends. She's been featured in the magazine that I had. We have actress and now best-selling author, Melanie Marden. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for doing all that you're doing.
I know that I get to interview a lot of cool people, but you've been in the Hollywood world for a few years, many years. You've been through some of the fitness side. You've been through movies, I guess TV shows. You've seen a lot, and then you started shifting your focus on healing the world, saving other people's lives. So let's get into that and a lot more in this podcast. Are you ready for this?
I am.
Let's do it. The book in question here is called Save Your Life. Give us a quick little rundown on how you went from actress to an individual who has become basically a cancer expert, right? You've studied it, you've researched it, and you found a lot of scary things out.
Well, yeah, that's pretty much it. You said it in a nutshell. Like most people, I've lost someone I love dearly well, we used to say to cancer. Now I say to a lack of information. But I just felt it was my duty to educate people on the truth around cancer and the cancer industry. So I started making a documentary like many, many years ago. And in doing that, I was trying to fit all this incredible content into the film, which was proving impossible unless I did like this long ass series. So I decided to write a book, and that's where you came in, and your amazing structure and foundation that you built really kind of helped me get the format down and how to do it. And it just brought it to life. So I'm so grateful. And I feel like it's helped so many people, because I get emails every day from people I don't know saying like, wow, I had no idea. And thank you. I've tried an alternative therapy and I'm feeling better. And just, it's so heartwarming to hear these stories. And I just hope that I can save somebody else's mom.
Well, we interview a lot of people, and not many people, like I said, have their own corner in my room where it's the magazine that you're featured on. You also have the book, but this cancer background, right? Did it really shake you up inside when you started to kind of peel the layers off and find out what's at the cause of all this? You let me know some of the things I'm doing wrong whenever we did the book interview. When it comes to filtering water, I filter water now. Some of the products I use, whether it's the deodorant, it could be, it's my shampoo, it's my cologne. All of this stuff could cause some crazy shit to happen in your body. And did it scare you more than anything else? Or was it like, oh, this is the reason why now I have control over my life more so now than ever before?
Yeah, I'm human. So, when you lose your mom or a parent to cancer, it's like, oh my God, is that going to happen to me? And I feel like, as much as that was a catalyst, I also was really troubled about the fact that we couldn't do anything to save my mom. Like, it just did not make sense to me. Now, granted, she did show me a lot of things not to do. So she didn't take good care of herself. But what I did is I deep dived, like a lot of people are doing these days, which is awesome. And when I took this dive, I just found so much information it rocked the foundation of my belief systems. And yeah, just the water out of the tap is absolute poison.
Absolutely.
So So just to know that, it's like, wow, this is the water that my government is providing me and my home and my loved ones. And I don't even clean my food in it. It's so toxic. So, just, and we can go into like a million different ways and angles with this, but, what I learned was cancer is 95% up to me. When we go to the doctor, they always ask you, has anyone in your family died of cancer? And it makes us fearful.
Ooh,
I'm like,
it's like the
my
first
God,
question,
yes.
right?
Yeah. I'm like, yes. And they're like, oh, we better scan you and check you and, just put all this fear into you, which is not good for our immune system and our bodies. So I kind of, started to take some power back in learning what I've learned, and especially interviewing these doctors and scientists around the globe for my documentary, Save Your Life, that have all witnessed cancer be cured. Now they're using modalities or treatments that are not able to be patented. That means anything in nature that exists in nature cannot be monetized. And that is the reason that nobody is investigating and studying, in FDA trials or clinical trials to see if these modalities really work. So that's why the doctors don't know about them. It's not their fault. They're simply not being studied because there is absolutely no way for them to be monetized. So knowing all that and knowing that nature heals, that's where I kind of started to pull back to the natural ways of being. It's not natural to put deodorant on. Our body is doing something. Our body's detoxing and it needs to come out or it's going to stay in. So, just learning different things like that and learning how to work in coherence with my body and heal it naturally versus, pop a pill and hope for the best. So
one of my other clients brought up the fact of sugar and how it is such a cancer causer, right? Like it is so detrimental to our health because our body is not, made to process all of that. So I'm now beginning a book with a guy named George Farah, and he talks a little bit about it. I don't know everything because I haven't started the actual interview process. But the moment you cut out sugar from your diet, it's almost like your body can now fight cancer or ward off cancer a lot easier. What have you found in regards to that?
Okay, well, yeah. So we're talking about, refined sugars, bad sugars, not necessarily sugars in fruit and stuff like that, but refined sugars, sweets, candies, junk food. Yeah. So I've interviewed hundreds of people, and the common thread was sugar is what feeds cancer, period. So in actual fact, and we all know, or we've all been told how bad cigarettes are, but sugar is more detrimental to our health than smoking. So that's a profound statement. And that's actually really true. So, I think, none of us are perfect. We all have our weaknesses, but it's good to know. It's good to know these things, because if you don't know, you're harming yourself without your knowledge. So yeah, sugar is the big no-no. I avoid it at all costs. Being hydrated is crucial. And I'd say 80% of the public is dehydrated. Now, you said you're filtering your water, which I'm pleased to hear, but is it reverse osmosis or what is it?
It's sitting right over there. It's
okay. Is it a Berkey?
It's called Opti filters. It cleans it very well, from what I understand. I got the recommendation from somebody who really studies this stuff, so hopefully it's good. But it goes into my coffee, and that's it. I mean, that's pretty much all I drink is really coffee out of it. But am I doing something wrong with that? Tell me what should I look for?
So listen, that's much better than where we were. So I like to celebrate wins rather than focus on things we're doing wrong. So that's amazing. I don't know if you've ever studied Dr. Sebi, but Dr. Sebi is this legend that is just an incredible human being. He had no education, but this man was wise. Anyways, he is responsible for curing all diseases, herpes, AIDS, HIV, cancer. And he promoted it. He took ads out in the newspaper and said, I am curing all of this. So of course the medical establishment was up in arms, and they decided to sue him for practicing medicine without a license, because he wasn't even a doctor. He just called himself Dr. Sebi.
Wow.
Anyways, this man, I'm just giving you his background, and then I'm going to tell you what he says about water. This man represented himself in court. He used the Bible to defend himself, and he won. The judge asked him, will you please bring in a patient for each disease you claim to have cured? Bring in a patient to show me they are cured. So he brought in 70. And the judge was like, wow, he's doing what he's advertising. This man is not doing anything wrong.
Oh, no way.
And he was let off. Sadly, in an interview he did, I think it was about a year before he passed away, he said, he told his mom he's cured his 13th patient at that point. And she said, they're going to get you, they're going to get you. And that's kind of what we think happened. He was wrongfully arrested when he landed in Honduras, which is where his massive facility was, where he grew all these amazing herbs for his remedies, because he used nature to heal everything. And then he died mysteriously in prison. So that's his background. He's amazing. But he says the best water to drink is the water God made. So when we have a tap water, it's chemically treated from our government. It is recycled water. It's dead. It's, then you're filtering it. So at least the contaminants and poisons are not in there, but there's no life force. There's no minerals in it. So, Dr. Sebi says, why take reverse osmosis or filtration? Because that's that's man trying to play God's job. God's water is the best. So I prefer spring water, is the long story.
So do you still filter your spring water?
No, I don't.
Oh, wow. So the only reason why I would, when I would go to my camp up in Tynesta, which is like in the north of Pennsylvania, it was the greatest spring water ever, right? I mean, it was definitely different than any other water I would ever have.
You can taste it.
You can taste it. It was the best. That's still a 2.5-hour drive. There is a spring near me in my woods, and we used to drink it as kids all the time, and it was the best water. Okay. However, my brother, and maybe this is just something that happened and it's not tied to it, but last year my brother drank out of it and I didn't, and he got really sick. So he was like, well, I ain't drinking out of that anymore. Something's in that spring that we didn't have as kids, but something got me. I'm really sick, so I'm never touching that again. My thought is
it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, they built a house or a housing plan right over top of this. So maybe something did happen.
Oh yeah, there could have been some chemicals or something put into it for sure. I mean, you need to source your water carefully for sure. But we are 70% water. So
I drink only water and coffee. You should, and I'm still drinking, like I said, the Propel. I'm a Propel drinker, even though I think it's a Pepsi product, but it's the Propel water, and then bottled water is my go-to for everything. So this right here is just for coffee. Any recommendations? What should I do? Should I find a spring and then filter that? What do you recommend?
Yeah. God knows what he's doing better than man.
Good. All right. So let's get into, you said the doctor's name is Sebi? Sebi?
Yes.
Okay.
Sebi.
All right. I'm going to look that up. In the book, I think you talk a little bit about some things for you to look out for, the products. You talked a little bit about deodorant with me. Sounds like a boring conversation, but I am so hyper-focused on my health, taking control of my health in every shape and form since 2020. Did you really wake up in 2020 alongside everyone else? Have you noticed a big push for health, taking control of your body like I did?
I think, you're in good company. Like, I think the bulk of the world has had some sort of epiphany or awakening since 2020. I feel like mine was a little bit beforehand. Sadly, I had this introduction to the cancer industry, in 2008 when my mom passed. So my eyebrows been raised since then. Now I've learned more and more and expanded my awareness more and more since then. But yeah, I've been making subtle changes since then. I quit drinking alcohol. I don't even know, 5-6 years ago. I think that was a huge, huge win for me. I believe alcohol lowers, well, A, our immune system, B, it stresses our organs, it ages us, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it also lowers our vibrational field. It is a dense, energetic component that when you add it into yourself, it lowers us. So I feel like it, you know, it affects people with depression. It affects people with poor sleep. And then it also just distracts us from what we're supposed to be doing. So I feel like as soon as I cleared that out, my path became very clear.
Nice. Same here.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't been drunk in, I don't know, maybe 6 years, maybe somewhere in
Wow.
there. Drunk,
Wow.
you know what I mean? Like where you're like
Yeah.
tripping over yourself. Had some glasses of wine up until about 2 years ago, and I
Yeah.
cut that out cold turkey. I have
Yeah.
never felt this good. So
Yeah.
alcohol was totally destroying my emotional state, my
Yes.
energy, zapping of my sleep, even if it was a little bit. It's weird. I'm 38 years old. I noticed the change in my body right around 30, 31, 32, somewhere in there where I couldn't handle alcohol.
Yeah.
But even a glass of wine or 2 glasses of wine, I wasn't the same the next day. Is that what you
Yeah.
noticed too?
Yeah, well, I have a decade on you, and I feel like I look younger now than when I did when I was drinking, you know, at your age. So, yeah.
There is something to be said about people who give up alcohol. I look at people who are 10 years older than me who drink nonstop. I'm like, man, you look like you're 40 years older than me. It's
Yes.
crazy.
I mean, it can affect people like that. It doesn't always, but I've also seen that. You know, healing from the inside out is the greatest anti-aging technique ever. I gave up Botox, which is hard for a girl in Hollywood, but you know, it's just not in alignment vibrationally with me. It's a neurotoxin. It's not good for us. It also, I learned in an interview with one of these doctors, we got off on a sidetrack, and I was so fascinated. He was explaining to me that the nerve endings in the face, when we smile and that line creases like a natural face, it ignites a message to the brain that I'm happy. So when somebody is Botoxed and they can't crease those facial muscles, it's not giving that message of happiness to the brain. So it's actually contributing to depression.
Huh.
I mean, it's amazing all the different things that I've learned from all of these incredible people that I've been so blessed to meet that have really impacted the rest of my life and hopefully many others. So
We started working on this book. I guess it was, I don't know, a year and a half ago, somewhere in there.
it was my birthday. It was May 13th, 2022.
So the book is called Save Your Life. During this process, you interviewed some big names, and I would assume some things really came to light for the very first time when you interviewed some of these bigger names. So is there anything more shocking than anything else that you've heard when you were putting this together? Was it scary? I mean, putting a flashlight on this industry and what's happening, it could be scary because you're going to be ruffling some feathers. Did you ever feel afraid, or did you notice any type of pushback that some people didn't want to share with you if it was going to be documented in a book?
Oh, yeah. So keep in mind, my interviews were for the documentary originally. So yes, the answer is yes. I have interviewed someone and then they have not given me permission to use the content for fear of, you know, their life being in danger. So yes, I am absolutely putting myself probably in harm's way. Am I afraid? Well, my dog is. So sorry.
That's all right.
My package has arrived.
It's all right. We're dog lovers. You know that.
So it's okay, baby. So yes, that is something. Haven't I been afraid? Moxie, come. Sorry, the guy's still at my door. I don't know what he's doing.
Okay.
It's weird. I mean, obviously, I don't want anything to happen to me, but I really believe like my life is in God's hands, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like without a shadow of a doubt. And I couldn't not do it. So whatever happens as a result of that, it really doesn't matter, and it wouldn't change if I was doing this or not.
Wow. So you have interviewed some big names, you know, in regards to the documentary in the book, but you know, just because you're a curious person and you're out in that world, name some people you've interviewed that kind of that everybody would know.
That everyone would know. Well, I interviewed Dr. Sevi's associate who was with him in jail when he died. Yeah, I mean, these are just, I don't know that everyone's going to know these names, but Dr. Brzezinski, he's probably the most famous brain cancer doctor in the world. His success rate is, you know, landslide away from anything in standard of care. Probably the most shocking thing that I learned or became aware of in these interviews was when I interviewed Dr. Brzezinski. I learned that his treatment modality, he patented this in 1970, I believe, or 75. Don't quote me, 70 or 75. And this treatment, when I asked him, could you have saved my mom with the type of cancer she had and as progressed as it was? And he said, probably yes. Wow. He has treated other people like my mom in the same condition and stage and had success. I believe his success rate is something like 85, 86% for stage 4 brain cancer, glioblastoma. So to hear that, if I'd known about him, that I could have taken my mom there and there was a chance that he could have saved her, that's some righteous anger that this information has been kept from me since 1975. But he has been fighting the AMA, the FDA, the state of, I think he's still in Texas, for his right to make this available to the public. I mean, he spent millions and millions of dollars just defending himself in court because they're trying to tie him up and tie up his patents so he can't provide these services. Now he's got 2 treatments. One treatment is for stage 1, 2, and 3, and that is FDA approved. It's cleared, it's done, it's available. The second treatment is for stage 4 patients, and it is not quite done. The trials, it's done the second trial through the FDA, but he's got to do the third. But it is available for people, and this is really important to know, that when you are sick or terminal and you know there's nothing else that Western medicine can do, there is a law that Trump passed, and it's called the right. Oh gosh, now I'm going
right to try.
Yeah, something like that. The right to try, and it allows you to seek out a not standard of care therapy for your well-being as a trial, or however you want to word it. But that wasn't available for people until Trump made that happen. So now under that law, every single cancer patient has the right to request something like that versus chemo and radiation, which does not help glioblastoma. So, you know, like there's solutions out there. We just don't know about it. So that is my goal with this documentary, is to highlight these heroes that are risking their lives literally to help save lives, and they're doing it. And I just want to put them on a platform and show the world, because, you know, these are our heroes, and people deserve to have all the information on how they choose to save their life. And to this point, I believe we have been misled and lied to.
100%. I truly believe, and you just said it before, I truly believe that we have everything we need on this planet to heal ourselves. We have everything within and around us to heal ourselves. That's just not the norm anymore, right? Because of Big Pharma, because of the medical system is a business, right? So,
right.
Can you kind of talk to me a little bit about how individuals can take control of their body in every shape and form and heal themselves as much as possible? And the reason why I'm even asking this question is because since 2000, I would say 2017, I think you knew me in 2017 quite well through Instagram. I was a little bit wild on there, as I am now, but maybe a little bit rough around the edges.
That's okay. Great.
I think that it was the most difficult time of my life, 2017, and I faced a lot of stress. And right around that time, I started developing spotters in the eye, like floaters.
Floaters.
And, they've dissipated to a certain degree since then, but that was when I first noticed it. And I went to my eye doctor, and he was a really good guy, by the way. And I was like, what do you think about these floaters? Oh, don't worry about that. If you ever want to get rid of them, you're going to have to get surgery, or you're going to do something along the lines of X, Y, and Z. It just sounded scary. I'm like, what the hell? I'm not doing that. I'll just live with them. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Years later, I'm starting to do all this research, and I find out that citrus fruits heal floaters. And I'm like, why didn't my eye doctor even just tell me, just take citrus fruit? This will heal it. And I'm thinking, this is whenever I started to wake up to the fact that,
right,
not that his fault. It really isn't. It's not that his fault to recommend that. He was trained a certain way because he went into this system, and that's all he's doing. He's a messenger of the system. And so I wasn't mad at him, but I'm just mad at the fact that for my whole life, I was taking orders and ideas and strategies from doctors that didn't give me the natural way, right? They're always saying you do this, this, and this. And I just took it as gospel. And I think, thank God, I think I didn't listen to a certain degree because I'm just a rebel. But there are certain things I did that did hurt me. Now I'm always looking for the natural solution. My dad always talks about how his great grandmother would pour these remedies into them and they would be better, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm leaning towards that. So is that what you do? And is this what you recommend to people if they're ever saying, hey, how do I take care of my health in every shape and form? Lean in on the natural way first.
100%. There's no negative side effects from nature. Or very, very rarely, I'm sure some people have an allergy or something. Like, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but there's certainly not the side effects that come with every single medication. And we weren't born short a pill.
Bingo.
We also weren't born short a needle. So, our body is divine. And once we get back into coherence and alignment with that, and we get ourselves back into nature, I see you outside all the time. And that is medicine on its own.
Look at that tan. Look at that tan, Melanie. Yeah. I'm outside a lot. I need that.
Yeah. So this is absolutely how I live. In fact, I have lived like this my whole life. When I was 21, before I moved to Hollywood, I lived in Canada and I owned a day spa. And I was lucky enough to have a naturopath work for me. So at 21 years old, I was already starting to absorb all these natural tricks and, remedies of like Ayurvedic medicine. And just to be clear, this is not alternative healing. This is the original healing. This is what we did for centuries before the Rockefellers showed up and tried to change medicine around. The medicine we have now is new medicine. It is the alternative.
Yes.
So I haven't taken a pharmaceutical in 5-6 years. Like, as soon as I got really clear on how not in alignment they are for me. I also haven't been to the doctor, but I've never been healthier. Funny
incredible.
How that
Probably because you put so much focus on your health. You are your first responder. I think that's a phrase that one of my clients says. His name's Josh Brisbane, if he's listening. You are your first responder. And so if you are your first responder, you're also your first doctor, right? You know when you're off. You know when something is not right.
Yes. And I agree with that statement. And I just want to empower your audience. Like, there's so many of us have been to the doctor and we're like, something's not right. And they're like, well, the blood tests look fine. You're fine. No. Just because their blood test isn't showing the number on the chart that it needs to show for them to say a diagnosis doesn't mean your body system's not out of whack. So listen to your gut or your intuition. You know better, and don't let anyone tell you what's going on in your body. And be your advocate. I wrote about this in my book. It's not like the sexiest story, but I got tapeworms from sushi. Being in California, I really indulged all the time in yummy sushi.
This story scared the hell out of me, just so you know. Pay attention to this one, guys.
It scared me. Anyway, so, I feel like I'm getting sick and I just have no energy. I'm sleeping all the time. I have brain fog. I'm bloated. I feel uncomfortable. I'm sleeping 12 hours a night, waking up exhausted. I'm juicing my vegetables. I'm like, you can't explain why I'm not well. And I thought, oh my God, that's it. I'm dying. I have cancer, because we always go on PubMD. Um, and then I went to the doctor and we did a parasite test. And sure enough, I have parasites. So he gives me this one pill. And I said, and this is going to do it? And he's like, oh yeah, that's the protocol. That's what we do. And he was nice enough and he's trained to do that. But anyways, hindsight. So I take this pill and I go home and I have the worst belly pains for 3 days. I'm in bed, like uncomfortable. Anyways. And then I'm like, okay, so I took it. Should we retest to make sure it worked? No. It's done. That's the treatment. Okay. So then 6 months goes by and I'm not improving. I'm the same as I was before I went to the doctor. So I met up with a friend of mine who was a bit of a health guru himself, and he took me through a natural parasite cleanse, herbs, things from nature. And I passed a cantaloupe size nest of tapeworms. It's horrible. But when I did, I literally fell to the ground on my knees and I thanked God because I felt like myself again. Like it was night and day difference in 5 days of doing this cleanse. So since then, I've not been back to the doctor ever. I don't go for mammograms because that's just an x-ray of my boob, which is ionic radiation, which causes cancer. So I avoid those and I check my breast myself and I get an ultrasound if I'm concerned, because none of that is toxic for me. And in the interim, I do what you do. I exercise, I drink lots of water, I take my supplements, I, do my meditation, my breath work, and eat super yummy, clean food. I juice my greens. Like I am well. I don't need to hire somebody to look after me. I'm doing it.
Oh man, is that scary? That's right. Well, so any girl who's like, can you take me to dinner? I'm always like, please don't say sushi. Please don't say sushi. But that's it, right? You want to impress a girl, you just take her to a sushi restaurant. That's it.
Yeah. You're so funny.
Oh, so I think about that all the time, just so you know. That's scary.
Yeah, but listen, I mean, if you're concerned about that, then start incorporating an anti-parasitic into your diet, right? If you're eating a lot of sushi, and that's the solution, right? We're human. We're going to do what we want to do because we're having this human experience, and everyone should. They should have that experience. So if you're going to eat sushi, then maybe, for the couple of weeks after you have it, why don't you take some oil of oregano, a known anti-parasitic, or wormwood, or black walnut. These are all natural substances that can help to eradicate, any parasitic infection. So you can just incorporate it.
Yeah. So, I was always thinking that, bad things are going to happen like floaters because of stress and all that. No, it's really what you're putting into your body. And stress definitely adds to it. And that does kill your immune system. But what you feed your body is either going to help you or hurt you, period.
Yeah. What we're made of. We have a whole new body every year. So it's made of whatever we put in. And also I write about this in my book, like, it's not just what we eat, it's what we consume. And I like to say it that way because what we listen to affects the state and the, chemicals that I'm releasing. If I'm listening to something horrific, I'm releasing, cortisol and stress hormones. Mm-hmm. If I'm listening to something uplifting, I'm releasing feel-good hormones. So it's also, what we listen to, what TV we watch. I know you like your horror movies and I can't watch that. So, that affects me. So it's knowing yourself and what you choose to consume for your highest good at all times, even what conversations I choose to have, what I choose to do with my free time. Am I being kind to myself or am I being detrimental to myself? It's all a factor. It's all a factor to
when you started to become outspoken on this. Did your circle change? I mean, you're in Hollywood. I think you are in the devil's den. People know this. The only reason I probably ever go out to California is to visit clients like you. That's it, period. And I did go out to California and I did meet somebody you put us in touch with. Unfortunately, he passed away to cancer, Papa Joe Aviance. But you are in the devil's den of, the world, I think, Hollywood. What was it like when you started to let others know where you stand on this stuff?
Well, I've actually said this in other interviews, but it's comical. yes, my circle changed 100%. You know, I'm watching my likes and my followers and my unfollows, you know, so I'm getting new people that resonate, and I'm losing like 10 times the amount of people that are like, I don't care, she's not acting anymore. But you know, when I first kind of woke up to the corruption in this matrix was 2008 when I lost my mom. And you know, I started talking about the fact cancer has been cured. It was cured in the 1930s, and we're being lied to. So as far as I'm concerned, this is premeditated murder. You know, like, you start saying things like that, that's a big statement. And my friends thought I was Looney Tunes. I mean, they love me and they listen, but they were like, oh God, she's still working on this documentary. But now my dad's like, wow, you know, my dad even acknowledged me. He's like, I thought you were crazy. But he's like, now I'm just so proud of you for being able to see before anyone else could. Yeah. Yeah. That's nice to hear. But yeah, no, I've lost tons of friends.
Yeah. And I guess,
And sadly, most importantly, I've lost a lot of friends that went the standard of care treatments for their cancer. You mentioned Papa Joe. Like, he was one of the first people I met here in LA, and he was just this light and such an incredible human being. And I really fought to convince him to try a different modality, but I don't judge him. He was scared. I was in the office with him at the oncologist when the doctor said, if you don't do this, you're going to die. And unfortunately, that's what patients are hearing. And it's very difficult in the face of that, hearing that from the man in the white coat, to go do something different.
oh, that takes a lot of faith.
And I just had to accept and love him and support him along his journey. And yeah, sadly, he passed away. But there's so many more people these days that are doing something different, that are telling the doctor no. And this lights me up inside, because like you said, you know, we were programmed to believe everything they said. That was all on purpose.
Yeah.
You know, and the doctors don't even have an education on minerals and vitamins. Like I
None.
think they get 8 hours in 4 years. I mean, I've studied nutrition, and I'm not a nutritionist, but I've studied more than doctors. So, I mean, it's crazy. We need to know how minerals and vitamins work, because that's how our body works. So it's really baffling to me how these people can be treating bodies and not know how they work.
I made a post. I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to see, you know, this is just an example. And it was talking about Adderall. You said we are not born missing a pill or a shot, right? We're born with everything that we possibly need. Look at this stat. 2008, 2.5 million prescriptions of Adderall. 2012, 16 million. 2021, 41.4 million. And I just did a little bit of research. I found out that Adderall prescriptions rose 35% in the past 2 years. So you want to get, we're talking about almost 50 million prescriptions.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I'm from Canada, and in Canada, you know, 15 years ago or whatever, when I lived there, you know, I didn't even know what Adderall was. But I had no idea. And then I came to the United States, and it's like, you know, people I'm meeting are on 2 or 3, sometimes 4 prescriptions every day. Like, I'm so grateful that I haven't had past any health issues that required me to take medicine as a child or a young adult. But my gosh, like, people are dependent on these medications, you know? Interesting. There was somebody I loved very much in my past who was taking Adderall as prescribed. And one day I picked up the prescription for them at the pharmacy. And I asked the pharmacist, how close is this substance to methamphetamine? And it is 1 molecule away from methamphetamine. And I truly believe, I'm just going to say it, I think it's medical kidnapping. I met with a client yesterday, and they told me that they took their 3-year-old to the doctor, and they were trying to prescribe Adderall to the 3-year-old.
No.
And by the time the child was 5, they told me about this story yesterday. The child's since older. But when the child was 5, they started to believe the doctor because it had been going on for so long, and they almost did. Like, thank God they didn't. But, you know, young boys all have ADHD, if you want to call it that. I just think it's a name they put on lots of energy and lack of focus. I mean, it's just a muscle that needs
I had it. I know
built.
I have it. I definitely had it in school. Maybe I still have it, but it has served me so well in entrepreneurship.
And it does. It's a gift from, like, that's your gift. And with Western medicine, they're just trying to make everyone do the same thing to absorb and memorize everything in these schools. Like, that's not how we're supposed to learn. It's not even like in alignment with our nature. You know, you're supposed to be out running around, getting rid of that energy, you know, and figuring out what you're passionate about so you can hone in on it like you do. And that is your gift. And I'm so proud of you for, you know, I saw what you posted about your mom said, no, you know, just do your best. That's all you have to do. And that
Just
is
try
so
harder.
true. Yeah. Try harder and do your best. Yeah. And that's all we need to do. You know, we're all unique and different. And just because someone says you have something, because some of the times they don't, doesn't mean you have to follow their orders. It's a human's opinion. And I remind people of that all the time, you know, and it's just an opinion.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, as a kid, I heard of other people taking it, right? In 1996, the FDA approved it. So it was right around 96 that all these kids started taking this. And I remember hearing, like, man, maybe I should take that. Mom, I should take it. Like, and she just brought up, guys, that my mom kept me from it. She's like,
Yeah.
no, just try harder. And I struggled through school because I just hated it. And it never gave me any type of, you know, want to be an A student. Like, I was like, I'll just get the B's, you know, just do enough. The moment I get out of school, it was almost like I found this love of entrepreneurship, and that held my attention.
Yes.
So what's happening is that people are like, I don't know what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. This is, I should be focused. Here's Adderall, which it unnaturally increases the dopamine in your brain. And then what happens? You become so fixated on getting that dopamine kick that the moment you don't have that Adderall for a day or 2 days, you drop like a rock. Your depression sets in, and you need to fix it with something artificial, which most likely leads to Prozac. And have you done any research on Prozac? I mean, it doesn't have to be Prozac. It just be any upper. It weakens your bones and makes you sick and messes with your sleep schedule. Just those 3 things alone, you're done.
Well, every single pharmaceutical that I've looked at has fluoride in it. Fluoride calcifies your pineal gland, which is your connection with God and your higher self and your intuition. So don't think that's by accident.
Oh,
yeah.
Scary. How about, I mean,
and also let's get into antidepressants, because I'm pretty passionate about this as well. And I also suffered from whatever you want to call it, not wanting to pay attention because I was bored out of my mind at school. I got A's because I had a very tough mom who was like, you're not good enough. So, you know, I was out to prove myself. So I did get A's, but I would wait to the last minute to do a quiz or a project or whatever. But I never paid attention in school. When it comes to antidepressants, this is the part that baffles me about society. You have someone who's depressed. So the doctor, who's there for your well-being, says, take this pill. Now, the side effect is you might kill yourself. Suicidal thoughts is the #1 side effect listed on every antidepressant.
No, I didn't know that.
What are we doing? What are we doing? I can't even believe that nobody's like freaked out about that. It's a known side effect from SSR. What are they? SSRI uptakers or whatever. They're like antidepressants. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I have a big problem with anybody giving somebody anything that the side effect is suicidal thoughts. How's that on the market? How is that approved? I mean, if the FDA really does do what they say they do, which I don't think they do, but how is that to market? Giving it to somebody who's already depressed? There's just so many things wrong with the system. I think the doctors, for the most part, are amazing, great human beings who have this desire to help and heal and, make the world a better place. I really do. And I think it's so sad that they've just been as duped as we are by the system. They've been let down. They've spent all this money, going to school to memorize the codes and names of all these diseases and what drugs to give them. That's it.
If you break it down, they all got into that profession thinking that they are going to help people, right? And then,
yes.
And then maybe, it's got to be an eye-opening experience. But when you finally realize that, wow, maybe some of these things that we're doing are not meant to help people,
Right.
that has to be a low point. And I don't know what that'd feel like, because you're on the wrong side of history and you probably spent half your life becoming the expert in that.
Right. But listen, I know a lot of doctors who have revoked their license and given it back to the medical board and said, thanks so much, but I don't work for you anymore. I work for this guy and he's going to let me still heal people. So I've seen a lot of doctors do that. And I just applaud them so much for swallowing their ego, because that's got to be a big hit to realize, like, wow, basically I'm trained in pharmacology. That's basically all they're allowed to do. I'm not judging. I'm not saying they're not great humans. I'm saying that the system duped them. Because in some states, if you have cancer and the doctor doesn't prescribe chemotherapy, they can lose their license.
Oh my God.
It's
just the protocol is set and you have to play by their rules or you're out.
And your license is at stake always.
Your income's gone.
The standard of care, if it's not followed, absolutely everything is gone. It's fear is a great motivator. So, they do that from the beginning. You don't question your person in position above you, like the nurse doesn't question the doctor. And we saw that during COVID. When they did, they were either fired or silenced or whatever, you want to call it. But, I really, truly believe we're going to see this system fall, and we're going to watch a beautiful new way of healing be birthed.
Oh, I hope so.
I really hold space and pray for that, because it's nothing I want more than to see people truly thriving and feeling good. I feel like one of the things I write about in my book, and this is a really important subject, is, we've been taught to do more, accomplish more, get more, buy more, blah, blah, blah. So it's this constant rat race of like, you're not enough and you're not good enough, right? So that's just been beaten into us, that we're not good enough and we're not worthy, kind of thing. And, that's the part that needs to be healed. That's the root. And once you feel worthy and you do love yourself, you will make time to look after yourself, because you'll realize the miracle that you are. Right.
Right.
And that if we did that, we wouldn't even need a doctor. So that's been undone in our society. And I look forward to seeing that coming back full circle.
Hope so. Your faith, okay, to kind of cap it off. We can talk for hours, by the way, you and I about this stuff, but to kind of cap it off, your faith, it seems like it has increased over the past couple of years. And mine definitely has. And the more I dive into my faith, the better my life gets. So is there anything you could say about that? Because when it comes to saving your life, is one of the aspects of, is it having more faith? And just to kind of summarize something that I've learned recently about even the book of Revelation. So you have the cross around your neck. You're obviously a believer. Look into the book of Revelations. There's actually stuff they talk about that the world will be duped by pharmakia. Pharmakia is the root word for is how they got the word pharmacy. Pharmakia, the original meaning of it is like witchcraft and stuff. So like potions and manufactured, potions. So you're talking about the more you understand the Bible and having faith, you realize how everything is kind of set in place from years ago, and it all kind of makes sense. So what do you want to say about faith, and for those who are looking to save their life?
So I just want to, okay, I want to explain it from like a big picture point of view, right? So if we pull back in our mind's eye and look down at the world, I really feel like we have been misled, misguided, and pulled away from the truth that we are divine beings that are worthy and, should be in nature and loving and nurturing ourselves always. And we've been pulled away from that and into this society that I just explained is like this rat race where no one's good enough or has enough or has done enough. And, that disconnects us from our worth and loving ourselves because we've been programmed not to. So I feel like that's the devil at play. So once you can see that and like, I wasn't made to go to work from 9 to 5. That's ridiculous. I'm a sovereign divine being. And if I love and nurture myself and then be of service, the universe or God pays me. Like it just money follows. So I just got into alignment and coherence with that. And I work for God and Satan's not welcome in my life.
Get out of Hollywood if that's the case.
And that includes pharmakia. So yeah, no, I've pulled myself back from that experience of society. I mean, I still go to the grocery store, don't get me wrong, but like I'm on the beach Wednesday mornings or hiking Thursday afternoons. Like I don't have a work week. I am in service to someone when my cup is full and I am well, then I help to look after other people. And in the interim, I look after myself and thank God.
And you bring up a good point there. Service, the Jim Rohn approach, right? Serve the many, for service to the many leads to greatness. And if you want to boil down the Bible, I heard somebody, I think it might have been Jordan Peterson. It might have been somebody in that world that said, you can break down the Old Testament to one word, sacrifice. You can break the New Testament down to another word, service. And if you have sacrifice and service, you have wholeness. And it is truly incredible. Sacrifice to something more than yourself and service to others. Oh man, that's a good life. That's a good life.
I don't love the word sacrifice, but I love the word service. I just don't feel like we have to, we are whole. God made us whole. So we don't have to give up anything to be whole. We are whole. So as long as I'm aware of that wholeness, holiness, then I can be of service to others. And that's just, I've really kind of gotten there in the last few years. I was a little late to the party.
I think that in order to have anything you want, and then this is just a way that I look at it, is like sacrifice is paying the price, right? You need to transform into the person with courage, and it might take fire, right? You're going to have to fight fire. You're going to have to do what other people are unwilling to do. And you can't build a business without putting in time or effort or energy. So there's always a give and then, then the reward. So like you have to sacrifice maybe your own freedom to earn your freedom down the road. So that's the way I look at it. But yeah, I see what you're saying. The sacrifice is sort of a negative word. But
whatever resonates and works for you. For me, it to sit down and write my book, I didn't feel like that was a sacrifice. I felt like I was in service.
Got it. I like it.
So for me, doing these podcasts, like this is what I'm supposed to be doing to help people. So whatever that shows up, like I'm there as long as I've looked after myself first, because I need to be well in order to be of service.
The book is called Save Your Life, The Ultimate Guide to the True History of Cancer and How to Ignite Your Own Healing Powers. Melanie Marden. What a picture. Look at that. So if you Google her, guys, you'll be able to see some other pictures. She's been all over, model for many years, featured in many magazines, like the one here that she was the cover of our magazine. Melanie Marden, you have always been a true supporter, a fan, a friend, an ally, and somebody I look up to for advice when it comes to taking care of your body in every shape and form. So I can't thank you enough for being here. And I'm looking forward to seeing where all this goes. You have the book out there. It's on Amazon. Maybe eventually you're going to have your own courses and membership soon. But guys, it's on Amazon. It was a bestseller. Look her up. Follow her at Melanie Marden on Instagram, right?
No, it's at official Melanie Marden.
Officially
Stay
Melanie Marden.
tuned because the documentary is coming out this year and you don't want to miss it.
What's the documentary called?
Save Your Life.
Save Your Life. Perfect. So
Yeah.
incongruence with the book. Guys, look it up. Melanie Marden, look her up on Instagram, Facebook. I don't know if she's on Facebook, but all over social media. Get in touch with her if you have any questions. And remember, guys, you are only as strong as your circle. And remember to always align your purpose and your mission with your story so you become the hero of your own life. We'll see you next time.